This week on the HeyUSA podcast, how sports betting has changed Kevin Love's job.
Welcome back to another edition of the HeyUSA podcast. My name is Nick Garcia, senior reporter at PlayUSA, and with me, as always, is Brant James, lead writer at PlayUSA. This week, we got some Kevin Love. We had a little Kevin Love interview for you, but before we get into that, it's the end of March. It's the end of all the madness. Tigers playing in the Masters. A lot to unpack. Let's begin with the easy stuff. Kansas defeats North Carolina to win Bill Self's third national title. Is that right?
I believe that's the case, yes.
What do you think of the game? Did you watch any of it?
I did, even though it began at a ridiculous 9:20 in the East. I mean, I have become accustomed to the East Coast getting its ass kissed. And one shining moment was almost sunrise at my house. It was a pretty entertaining basketball game. It pitted a team that I despised as a child, North Carolina, versus a team that I despise now, Kansas. That said, it was a very entertaining game that I made it to halftime and said, all right, I'll just look at the score tomorrow. And then I saw the highlights on SportsCenter, so it all worked out.
I was in a similar boat. I despise North Carolina. I'm not a big fan of Kansas. But, after that first half, it was like, well, maybe I'll check back with like 2 minutes left and see, what's going on. They're up by, Carolina's going to run away with this. I thought Kansas would give them a run for their money. And then next thing you know, it's tied. And I'm like, wow, maybe I should watch the last 6 minutes of this game. So I caught a little bit at the beginning, last 6 minutes. It's pretty good. I mean, better team always comes out on top. It's behind us.
It's all over. It even had a good karma moment from Kansas when they let Baycott get up because he was all gimpy. But earlier in the semifinals, I'd done the same thing in the Duke game, and I fell asleep with the TV on, and as if I awoke in a fever dream. I saw the last couple seconds to see that last just scowl on Coach K's face. So that made for a good night's sleep.
Yeah, but we got some Tiger news as well. What's going on in the golf space?
Comebacks. We talked about a Kansas comeback, but how about a Tiger Woods comeback? He hasn't played in a PGA event since the Masters in 2021. He had that horrible car accident a couple last year, multiple fractures to his legs. This was a guy who had already had injury problems with his back in the past. It sounded he's 46. It sounded like the career was over. It was a sad way for this to happen, but it looks like Tiger, we film on Tuesday. Tiger says he has every intention of playing beginning Thursday at the Masters, and Tiger has been and will continue to be the most interesting man in golf. He makes people watch the television. He makes people who bet on golf normally and maybe never do make bets on golf.
Yeah.
I was talking to some sports books today, and the volume is very heavy. People are excited, and it appears that Tiger is back, trying to get a sixth Masters title.
Do you have any numbers in front of you, like what the odds are going with him winning that tournament right now?
Why, yes, I do. They're right here. PointsBet, they've got him at plus 7,000 right now, but that's not dissuading people. Of course, some people see these tremendous odds and they're just jumping on it. Some people are putting a couple dollars to follow their hearts and their emotions and make this interesting thing even more interesting. But Tiger has garnered 12% of the bets and 8% of the handle. That's double anybody else so far. Again, there's multiple reasons that's happening, but people care. At DraftKings, he's plus 3,500 to win it. Again, this is extremely long odds. No feel-good story generally turns out feeling this good. And just in on the email machine, BetRivers has him at plus 5,000, but the volume is also very high. He's getting more bets. He's up to 5.8% of the bets there. The PointsBet bettors seem much more ardent in their support of Tiger. It's only Tuesday. As more people find out this is really happening, as they stop doing their day jobs and start playing on the internet. And if they're in a state where sports betting is legal and underway, I predict that this money is going to continue to pile in on Tiger.
Now, I have two takeaways from that. One, we all know that Tiger is the GOAT in his, in the golf world. That's the guy. it's similar, you know, with the odds being as high as they are, but I picture it as if Tom Brady were playing in the Super Bowl. Nobody bets against Tom. And if you could get 7,000 odds on Tom winning the Super Bowl, you'd be like, yeah, I'm betting on that guy. He beats every known quarterback in every team imaginable. So if you could squeak on that, I'm pretty sure that's how people view Tiger Woods. When he's playing, he's the guy to beat regardless of anything else. The second thing is, when you compare his injury history to that of a player in the NFL or Major League Baseball, it's like, man, you know, could this guy get any more banged up? We're gonna have to trade him soon, because he's not on the field if he's always got a torn ACL or something. We got to ship him away. So those are the two things. I'm excited that he's back. He always makes, you know, regardless of what he's doing, when he steps on, you know, on the green, he's the guy to watch. And so I'm pretty excited that he's playing in this match.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. He's come out. Apparently he's hitting the ball great. I mean, stupid thing to say. He's going to attempt to play in the Masters. He says that the toughest thing is going to be walking all the holes. That's the tough thing. Yeah. Obviously, the injuries that he had from the rollover crash were horrific, and coming back and almost having a little extra, you know, stretch in his gait. A lot of people around him say that's the only really way you can tell that anything bad happened to him. Obviously, he had the best medical attention the world could provide, and money could buy. And good for him if you can do that. Yeah. But it's going to be interesting. He is going to have eyeballs and cameras trained on him at every moment. There's going to be a lot of attention. And can you imagine if you're rooting for Tiger, if you bought that red shirt back in the day and you see Tiger at plus 7,000, you want him to win so bad. Can you imagine how pissed you'd be if he wins this thing and you didn't grab him? Plus 7,000, you'd be kicking yourself all over your house on Sunday afternoon as you get a little tipsy with whatever people drink at the Masters.
I mean, I know that I might be getting a little tipsy, not for the Masters, but since baseball's rolling around, opening day's coming up. But that's another story. We'll save that for another pod once baseball begins. We got an exciting interview with Kevin Love coming up. I mean, I think we should just jump right into that. What do you think?
Yeah, let me set it up a little bit. We talked to Kevin Love. He's got a lot going on. You'll know him, of course. He's a 14-year NBA pro, Cleveland Cavaliers, Timberwolves early in his career, multi-time All-Star, won a title in 2016 with LeBron. He is he's a hero in the dog community. Yeah. As you'll hear in the interview, he saved a dog from a hit and run. He has a lucrative new endorsement, maybe, with Milk-Bone and his dog Vestry for birthday cake flavored dog biscuits. And he's going to talk to us mainly about how sports betting has changed his job as far as the interaction that he has with fans. He has a cool anecdote in there. And lastly, whether or not he thinks that pro athletes are wise to enter into endorsement deals with sports books. The NBA players don't currently have that. MLB has the right. No one has signed yet. Hockey does, and Connor McDavid has a deal. He was he didn't know that they had that, but now he does, and we got to watch him think in real time about that. Interesting interview, and it was a couple quality minutes with Kevin Love. I think you'll enjoy it.
That story that Brant wrote will be linked in the description below. I've always been a fan of Kevin Love. I like the way he plays the game. I've watched him back at UCLA when he was beating down the Zags every once in a while. When he was courted to go play in Cleveland, I thought that was a huge power move. And of course, you know, it was the right move as they go on to win the title. But enough of that. Let's jump into this interview.
Hey, Kevin, how are you? Thanks for your time today.
Hey, all good. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Well, I'll just start with the basic question. I've seen a lot of athlete product tie-ins. Generally, it's, for whatever reason, turns out to be breakfast cereal. This one is completely different. How did you come to this one?
Well, it's actually very authentic because if you've seen our, and I mean, my fiance Kate and I's social media platforms, it's very Vestry, our dog, our Vizsla, it's very dog heavy. So, no, I think just with Milk-Bone, their celebration of dogs and loving on dogs made it very synergistic and, made it a great fit to work together because, our dog, our Vizsla, loves the product as well. She's had the birthday cake biscuit that they just launched and, loves it. So we celebrate our dogs. We celebrate Vestry every chance that we get and love her up. So this is another way to do it.
Birthday cake. I mean, we can all acknowledge that that's delicious, but how does a dog learn to get a taste for that?
I don't know. We're just happy it has the proper vitamins and minerals. And if she loves it, if she can sniff it out and she loves it, keeps coming back to it, she's going to let us know. She's a very, very vocal dog. She knows how to get what she wants. But she lets us know and she keeps coming back to it. I gave her a couple of them a little bit earlier, and that tail was wagging, and she was very, very excited about it.
Is there a story behind the name of your dog?
So it's just a street that we love in New York City. So I've been there the past 4 off seasons. I was in Los Angeles working out before that for off seasons, but that street in Tribeca is a place that we really love. And then the fact that, she's a Vizsla, we like the V name. And then we just looked at her and said, that's Vestry. It just kind of works. It kind of fits.
Yeah, very good. Well, your stock in the dog community is I can't imagine ever been higher. If my Googling was correct, didn't you help save someone's dog no more than a month ago?
Yeah. It was really, I think it was like a month ago, but it's traumatic. It's really, you never want to see a dog in pain or compromised like that on the side of the road. I thought it was just, hit and left for dead. I pulled out of our facility and just like pulled my car off, blocked the traffic, had to put my hazards on, whatever. And, was just waving the gentleman right there to come out and just saw the dog in pain. At first, I didn't know if it was dead or if it was going to live or what the deal was going to be. But yeah, it's just something that I still tell Kay, like, man, I can't get that out of my head. It really, really shook me to my core. But, he was able to, get the dog, take the dog to the emergency vet, had a number of broken ribs, lacerations, lost blood, bad bruised eyes, whatever. But somebody reached out to me from his family and said that, thanks for blocking traffic because of where they are. It's on a really busy highway. And if, the cars would have kept coming on the corner, it probably would have got run over again. The person that hit the dog probably didn't see it when it first happened, but I think, definitely was a hit and run type situation. So that broke my heart even more. But thankfully the dog recovers and it's all good now. And, even more so better for the gentleman who it was that, going to make a full recovery. And it was a therapy dog for him. So just that makes me feel better about the situation because it was not something that you ever want to see.
Yeah, well, hopefully some dog biscuits in his future. Definitely has some coming there. Another bit of newsiness. I saw that just recently you were included in the 45 greatest McDonald's All-Americans list, and I think KD signed off on that list. That's never a bad thing, either one of those two.
Yeah, it's never a bad thing. I saw a few guys from our class, 2007 high school class on there, but yeah, it was amazing. Trying to remember who posted it, and then KD posted it, reposted it, and it was a really formidable, amazing list to be a part of because in high school that's like the holy grail is to make it to and participate and play in the high school McDonald's All-American game. So that was pretty special to be named to that list.
Yeah, very good. Another topic, I do a lot of coverage on sports betting nationally. Obviously, that's basically incorporated with sports now. How is your job the last couple of years with legal sports betting spreading to many places where you go? How has that changed how you do your job as far as how you interact with your teammates, with staff, with the guy heckling you from the front row?
Well, I think the biggest change that I've seen is it's almost to a point now where it's like fantasy sports, right? Like where you used to get so many different fans involved in fan interaction through fantasy sports, which you still get, but now it's even another layer on top of that, for better or for worse. Because there'll be some times where I'm looking at my direct messages and they're saying like, all right, there's fans, friends are sending me stuff, whatever. And somebody will say, hey, the parlay, you won me this money, like whatever. I'm just like, okay, whatever. And then there'll be other people who be like, hey, I can't pay my rent for the month. thanks, asshole. Like,
Yeah.
like, there's certain stuff like that. But I think what I love about it is it brings, more fan interaction to the game. Like, we have more fans than we otherwise, wouldn't have had. So more people that have their eyes on basketball, I think, definitely the better, but, outside of that, I really don't know how. I always ask like the spreads on certain games and stuff like that. I'm sure I'll be asking about the UNC Duke game, like that, where it stands now as opposed to where it stands when the game actually starts. So there's, a lot to it that I don't fully grasp or understand. But it really has brought a whole nother layer to the game and to sports that we wouldn't otherwise have seen. And I think for major sports leagues to, okay a lot of it, and state to state, a lot of places to okay it is pretty cool to see.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm always interested to talk to the basketball players because, how it affects your day job, because no one is more exposed, for the lack of a better term, to the fans. They're closer to you. You've got no helmet on. I mean, baseball players are kind of close, but they're really close to you. And like you said, the guy DMing you about the parlay or the rent, however serious that was, if he's got a beef, I mean, you can hear it.
No, and it's something that's not lost on me. Whether it's like, how much heaviness or seriousness there is to that. Like, I don't really think unless the guy really takes it to that level, I don't, it's like, I don't condone drinking and driving. I don't condone putting, your family's livelihood at risk because, you're betting on something. But I do think there is a healthy, side to all of it. It's like, call an Uber. It's like, okay, only bet as much as you're willing to lose. It's like, a similar thing in that regard. So I definitely don't want to be hated because I made under 2.5 threes, in a game when I was just off that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's a lot more easier to wrap my head around and grasp when, it happens to just be fantasy basketball. But no, I do think that there's a major value add in it, though, and I think a lot of people see that, and it's the reason we're here talking about it now. So it's cool.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and it's going to be. You're going to have that in Ohio pretty soon, so it's not going to be when you play a home game.
Right.
It is fantasy sports. There's going to be guys with a thought there too.
100%. So I think there's definitely a healthy way of participating and looking at it, and I just think like that feeling of like really being invested and involved in the game is I think that type of a thing is one of the cool parts of it.
Mm-hmm. And these two leagues have had their CBAs come up more recently than your guys, but the NHL now lets active players endorse sportsbooks. Connor McDavid, Edmonton is doing it. And baseball players can do it now too. No one has done it. It's in a way, it sounds sort of a slippery slope. It seems like an invitation to get a whole bunch more grief from people that are DMing you. What is your opinion on that? And if it's something that should be done, would you want to do something like that? Yeah,
I mean, that's I actually didn't know that. No, it's definitely interesting. I think that it's almost like with NFTs. It's like you get paid off of a company that is then selling them, and then somebody else has ownership in what you are they are then selling or something like that. But I think that, again, there's definitely a fine line within it, but there's good and bad. There's a right and wrong way to do it. But I guess with the sports books and endorsing them, I just have to further understand that. Because I didn't even know that until you just told me. So.
Yeah, it's going to become a thing. I mean, people who don't dig deep into it, they don't realize it's just like saying, buy this cereal, buy this beer. It's not saying I'm going to score a little less tonight. I mean, it's just a lot. There's just a lot there.
Like definitely a lot to unpack before I would have. But like it seems like there's always going to be that like connotation, right? That like that it's negative all the time. But again, I don't think that it necessarily has to be, because it's you want fan participation, you want fan interaction, and it's at least for the people that write the checks, it's money for your league. But at the same time, I think you have to build, like in the NBA or any sports, you have to build it from the fan perspective out, right? Like, and that's what we try to do. We play for our fans. So I think there's, again, a healthy side to it all. At least. So.
Yeah. And all those CBAs still clearly say toward the players, you cannot bet on these games.
No betting.
That's the wall, and it is there.
Yeah.
There's a guardrail. The mental health awareness has become more prevalent, I think, maybe post-COVID. I mean, there's a lot of stress. I'm talking about in the athlete world and in the general world. But I mean, you raised awareness of this in 2017 before. I just wanted to, get a lot of credit for that, as you should. I just wondering if you could sort of speak to the progress that has been made in those, my goodness, 5 years now of, what athletes go through and understanding.
Yeah. And I think, it's all relative to, each person's just individual experience. Nobody goes through it alone, but a lot of people compartmentalize it. They hide it. They live in the shadows. So I think just from 2017 till now, and myself sharing my story, but then you have Simone Biles, Naomi Osaka. I wouldn't be here talking about it if it weren't for DeMar DeRozan, Dak Prescott. I mean, the list goes on and on of athletes who have spoken out, about and spoken up about their mental health to, in a lot of ways, help pay it forward. So I think that conversation is continuing to grow, it's continuing to evolve. It's lessened the stigma in a way. It's probably felt, I looked at, guys like Shaq as superheroes, when I grew up. So like his words I was, hanging on to. So like, you have Naomi Osaka, you have Simone Biles, who's, probably the greatest female gymnast of all time. Dak Prescott, the quarterback from America's team. You have all shapes and sizes, different demographics, socioeconomic backgrounds, race, whatever it may be, all these different people speaking up and talking about it. I think it's just educating people in a way that wouldn't otherwise have happened. And on top of that, you have the pandemic, you have the war now, you have the election, you have, all the social injustice, everything on top of that is, I think, opened up for some really healthy conversations surrounding the topic. So I'm just hoping that continues.
Mm-hmm. Well, not trying to retire you, but you seem like a person who likes to have something to do, and you obviously have had a lot of philanthropic efforts in the future. When you cast yourself out 10 or 15 years, what are you going to be doing?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely on the other side of the hill of my career, being in year 14, coming up at the end of year 14 here. But no, definitely still want to, on the philanthropic side, be working with my fund and having grown it to a place where we can have some substantial impact. What exactly that looks like, I imagine, I don't know. And I imagine we'll take, some pivots. We'll learn from people that have, and we already are a partner with a ton of people that have been there and done that before us. But, I think just, you can never, understand, I guess that's maybe the wrong thing to say, but you can't put a number or, understand the reach of impact that you can have by changing, people's lives. There's just such a domino and ripple effect within changing, one person's life within a family, within a community, within, the greater good. Like I truly believe that these conversations, and even you asking the question now, thank you. Like these conversations are meaningful and make people feel like they're part of something greater than themselves and instill hope in people. And I feel like that's what we need right now, and could stand to, all be more empathetic and not withhold compassion. And I do feel like having exposed, some of my struggles at this level, it's definitely made me stronger in both of those categories. So again, in 10 or 15 years, as far as that side of things, just involved in, really great things with my fund, and, outside of that, maybe working in basketball and, working in different businesses, but, definitely a primary focus will be, continuing with my fund.
Very good. Kevin, this was great. We've reached minute 16, so I stole one from you, but I'd do it again. It was great stuff.
All right, Brant. Thank you so much, man.
All right. Thanks a lot. Good luck with it.
I appreciate it.
And there you have it. Kevin Love, famous for being a good basketball player, being tall, loving his dog vestry, saving dogs, mental health advocate. Obviously, that's a very big deal, and had some informative stuff on legal sports betting. And just to top it off, his uncle is a co-founder of the Beach Boys. So really, total package.
Yeah, total package. That was some great stuff. We're going to try to get more interviews like that. As the season progresses, we'll bring you content of that nature. Again, if you liked anything that Brant and I do, follow, subscribe to this pod, follow us on Twitter, send us any, questions or anything that you have. Check out the stuff over at HeyUSA. Brant, opening day is around the corner. We're going to have some stuff to talk about.
Baseball's back. We were a little cynical about it because we're just dark-hearted people. We should have known that, two sides that just want to work it out, we're going to do the right thing. And now I'm stuck with two single-A baseball opening day tickets that I just don't want anymore. So if anybody wants them, just leave a comment down below.
Yeah.
I'll get them to you.
All right. We'll catch you on the next one.